Hey, this is Dre with Yourself.Podcast. I'm glad you're joining us today. We actually do not have a guest this afternoon, but we do have me. And I was thinking about what an interesting topic would be to speak about that I have not interviewed anyone on. And I thought about it, and loneliness has not come up, I don't believe. And I think that's something that we all experience from time to time. Some of us spend more time in it than out of it. And so I took down some notes for myself, and I kind of wanted to have this not necessarily, obviously, not a discussion with anybody, but I want you to listen to the questions that I ask, and then I'm going to follow up with a coping skill for that particular question. So if any of you have ever experienced loneliness, and also, just as a side note, this is our 20th episode of the podcast. So every 10 episodes or so, I get a little excited because that's 10 more than we had before. So I'm really excited to reintroduce this podcast here at Brace Yourself. We are regular people trying to help other regular people with life challenges. We are not mental health care specialists, physicians, clinicians, or any of that sort. If you need immediate assistance or you need someone to talk to right away, you see my disclaimer up here. You can call 988 CareCast, and you can either text or call them, and they have real-time professionals on the line for you to speak with about any situation that you may be going through. Now, if you need immediate assistance where you may be in harm of hurting others or yourself, you ought to call 911 because this life is worth living. It's just the pain that needs to be released. So, in intro to that, I believe that loneliness causes a lot of crazy things to happen in our lives. I don't know if you've ever given it any thought, but loneliness can cause, especially if you live with it for a long time, without a partner, with a partner, just in your mind itself. If you've lived with it for a long time, then you'll probably resonate with this broadcast today, this episode, because I have throughout my life have felt it so deep. In fact, it is the first emotion that I feel when I begin to have a panic attack. That may be usual for some people. Some people feel fear when they first start to feel a panic attack, and those are for people who suffer from anxiety. Some people might not suffer from anxiety, and they may just suffer from loneliness. So I want you to think about when you feel loneliness showing up in your life, what's the very first thing that you notice? Is it the fact that you feel like no one is around, or that you have no one that you can confide into or confide with, or that you may feel like, oh, my friends wouldn't understand because you see them in this clipped happy life kind of Instagram reel, TikTok reel or post or whatever, social media posts. But in real life, we have to consider that everyone goes through a lot of things. We never know who is going through what. And sometimes it's surprising to know that one of your closest friends may be going through this type of situation where they're lonely, and you may not even notice it because they mask. And I noticed that during my life, I'm a professional masker. I can mask my feelings until I can't anymore, and then I have to do something for myself to get myself kind of out of that, to use a familiar term, get out of that funk that people feel. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like a ditch. I feel like I'm in a ditch and I'm surrounded by things that I feel that are negative, and no matter which way I toss and turn, I'm still facing the same loneliness. I'm still facing that anxiety. So, one of the things that I've researched um, is to track how many times a week. Start out with a week. Um, Maybe start on a Monday so you can start fresh, or start any day, whatever day you're comfortable with. And the minute you start to feel loneliness, try to grab a piece of paper and a pen or your note, and in your notes on your phone, track down or type down what is happening around you, what literally is happening around you, and what emotions are coming with that. Are you in a situation where you're at work and you're sitting in a cubicle or in an office and the phone isn't ringing? There's no one coming into the office. You're looking out the window, or a lot of times in this era, a lot of people are self-employed or they work from home. And so their home becomes their office. And I've noticed that a lot of people feel like when they step out of that room, they're like, oh, it's a relief. And anytime they go walking by that room, they feel like, oh, I can't go into that room. That reminds me of work. I can't go into that room and enjoy myself in that room because it reminds me of work. And it separates me from my family. It separates me from the rest of the home that I enjoy. So one of the things is, like, I'm asking is to write those things down. What's happening around you and what emotions are you feeling while all of those things are going around? Is it the loneliness? Is it feeling alone? Is it that, oh, I am physically alone? Are you afraid of being alone? Because awareness is the very first step in changing the pattern. So, as they always say, acknowledging the problem is the first step, or the first step is acknowledging you have a problem. So, I want to know also, or I don't want to know, but I want you to think about, what kind of thoughts about yourself do you feel or do you notice when you're feeling lonely? For me personally, I feel that I'm the only person in the world. I feel that I have zero in real life friends. I feel like I live in my art room, in my podcast studio, and I do housework, and I'm alone in it the whole time. So I've realized that, yes, I'm physically alone while I'm doing those things. I do have a puppy who follows me everywhere. So, he fulfills some kind of companionship. But when I talk to my dog, he doesn't talk back. He just kind of looks at me. So, but the things that I know that, I apologize for that. The thing that I have noticed is writing is a very good coping skill for a lot of people. They journal, or they just write their thought down. If it's positive or negative, they will put it on their fridge. They manifest, they meditate. I personally have not been a fan of any of those because I'm afraid to know what causes my loneliness. And I don't know if a lot of you feel that way, but a coping skill that I found was that when you do feel that lonely thought coming on, to try to, yes, think it through, and then challenge it with a more balanced thought. So, for example, replace the no one cares about me, or I feel like I have no friends. I can reach out to no one. Instead, maybe think I may be feeling disconnected right now. But does that mean that I'm unimportant? Or does that just mean that it's a busy day for everybody else? Everyone is busy with their lives, including me. Even when I am lonely, I am busy. My problem is that my loneliness, my anxiety is so heavy, so strong, that even while I'm doing the tasks that I'm supposed to be doing or that I assign myself to do, those things, I can still feel the loneliness. I can still feel like, well, there's nobody around. So I end up talking to the dog. Should we do the dishes first? Should we do laundry? Should we do some art? Should we, go for a walk? And even though that those things may be healthy in doing, sometimes the routine does become sort of a rat race, for yourself. So when I found that if you challenge it in your brain and reframe the thought, am I really unimportant? And I want you to take a minute to think about that. I'm going to give myself a minute to think about it, because there have been times where I've thought to myself, I really am not serving anyone in any good way, because if I were, people would reach out to me to see, hey, how are you feeling today? I do have a few friends that do that, but they have what I see as bigger issues than I do. And so I feel very humbled when they do reach out to me. And I think I have the problem of reaching outward instead of inward. And when you reach out inward, you try to have some self-care. Now, self-care to me means cleaning the house, or organizing. My house is generally clean. I mean, we have a puppy, so we have puppy fur all over. So one of the main things is cleaning the wooden floors, laundry, dishes, dinner, the normal everyday boring stuff that those tasks need to get done. And for a lot of us who have more than I have in a family, but there's only my husband and I and the dog, so there are some families who have 5, 6 kids, and those things can become very mundane. And doing laundry every single day, doing dishes a few times a day, cleaning the floors, cleaning up after kids, cleaning up after, a full day of kids, and then having your husband come home and try to have quality time after he's had a long day at the office, at the yard work, at the manual job that he has. He comes home very, very tired and wants to kind of have his lazy time too, and so you both may be feeling like, we both need an escape, but we both need each other, but we both have to have our special time alone to give each other some relaxed time. So I don't necessarily feel that when you feel alone or lonely that you are unimportant. So I don't want anyone to take that away from this episode, because everyone is important. Everyone in this world has a purpose, and whether we see it early in life or way later in life, the point is that we finally see our purpose in life. So another another thing that I kind of wrote down was, what makes it difficult for people like us to reach out to others when we're feeling lonely? What, why is that so hard? Um, I believe it's hard because, to me, it's kind of like begging for friendship, and that's the way I personally see it. I don't know if many of you out there may feel that way, but I feel like, you know, what am I doing? I'm reaching out to these people. They're probably busy. They have no time for me. They're doing their family thing. They're doing their couple thing. They're doing their play dates with friends that have little ones, empty nesters who are filled with volunteer work, filled with being together with their husband or their wife or their spouse, their partner, whatever it is. They're out doing their thing. Why should I interrupt that over my little loneliness that I feel in my little corner of the world? And we sometimes, our mind tricks us to think, or maybe negative energy um, disencourages us to reach out to those people, because maybe those people aren't off, you know, in traveling the world, or are off, jet uh, jet spotting to Europe, or all these nice places around the world. The conflicts here, they may feel isolating as well. And so, maybe if I send a small text to someone to say, hey, how's it going? I don't have to start the text out like, hey, are you busy? I'm in desperate need of talking to someone. Because then they might feel like, oh, there must be an emergency. Let me drop what I'm doing. And if they are doing something important, you don't want them to feel that way, right? So a lot of times when I feel and get inside my head so much that I want to reach out to someone, but I know that they're busy, I hesitate. So what do? I'm an introvert. One of the perks of being an introvert, you don't have to talk to anybody. But sometimes that bonus becomes a crutch, becomes a a setback. It becomes something that is unuseful. So, what I like to do is to think about, well, maybe somebody out there is feeling the way I'm feeling. I don't know who that could be, but so let me go down my list of friends that I think I have, or that I know I have, and think, well, let's see, I just talked to them about a week ago. I don't want to seem too desperate. I don't want people to think that, why does this person keep calling me? I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Those are my thoughts. So what I go through the list of people that I know, and I think to myself, oh, I haven't spoken to so and so in a while. I'll just text them and say, hey, how's it going? How have you been? And if they don't answer right away, don't panic. It's okay. They might be on a phone call. They might be doing something busy. They might be busy with something. But hopefully they will eventually get back to you and say, hey, I haven't heard from you either. How have you been? Yeah, well, just dealing with life. And then maybe it can progress into a positive conversation. And you may not have to disclose that, hey, I'm only reaching out because I've been really lonely lately. You may not need to disclose that. You may just have a pleasant conversation to the point where, hey, my loneliness has lifted and it was good to reconnect with a friend or a relative or a family member. Um, so maybe that might be a good coping skill. Um, Sometimes, for me, meaningful connection does not mean get 10 friends together, have them all come over my house, or me go to their house and there's like 10 or 15 people. That to me makes me feel even more isolated because I am sort of an introvert. I will find myself feeling like an ornament, if that's with the lack of a better word. And I will find myself just kind of sitting in a corner in the most comfortable chair where my back is against the wall, so no, I can hear nothing behind me. I can be safe and hear everything in front of me. And when I see that first person start to dash to the door, I'm thinking, there's my time for escape. And I'm not big on group um, discussions where everybody's talking. I may, if it's like a question answer thing, I might participate because I feel for the um, for the speaker, I may feel like, well, they prepared for this. I might as well participate because I know that if I was up there speaking, I would want someone to participate. And so it's almost like an obligation. But if it's like a social setting, I find myself just kind of smiling and nodding. Yes, no, oh, that's great. That's awesome. Making those little small remarks to just make myself seem like I'm there. I'm there in the group. But for me, um, being emotionally engaged and instead of feeling even more disconnected, I feel more connected when it's one on one, or maybe two or three of us getting together, and there's an easier flow to the discussion. It's an easier flow for the conversation. I don't have to listen to 20 people talk about the same thing that they all have in common, but I don't. Sometimes between 2 to 3 individuals, I might find myself having something in common with them. So maybe if you feel that way, maybe try to maybe step outside a little bit out of your comfort zone. Maybe invite one friend or two friends out to lunch, or if you don't feel comfortable at a restaurant, have them say, hey, would you like to come over and I'm just having a small lunch, wanted to see if you guys wanted to join, and we'll plan it for tomorrow. And I'm the kind of person that the extrovert in me, which barely ever comes out, will say on Monday, hey, Friday, yeah, that sounds great. Let's all do lunch. Come Thursday night, I'm looking for excuses. I'm looking for, oh no, my anxiety will be my first indicator that no, I will not be showing up to the event that I promised I would show up on Monday. Because why? I'm anxious, I'm an introvert, and I get nervous. I literally get nervous and I get shy. So it's something that I struggle with. So I suggest, even for myself, to maybe create what we call a suggestion habit. One small intentional action a day that creates some type of connection. I've recently made friends with a neighbor here where I live. He's an older gentleman. They're an older couple, actually. But I met him first, and then I met his wife. They're probably in their 70s or 80s, and it's small talk. I walk the dog, and he says hello. He says hello to the dog, and so I thought to myself, I noticed things that they like, the decorations that they have in their front yard. And I thought, oh, they really like angels because they have this huge statue of a beautiful white angel and other small angels around. And I thought, well, it's obvious they do. So as an artist, I decided to paint them an angel and frame it and give it to them as a gift. I haven't done it yet because the frame is not ready, but that's one small connection. I thought that, oh, now when I go outside, I feel like I can say hi to somebody without the awkwardness of, excuse me, sorry, I'm in your way. Let me get my dog out of the way. Let me stop my dog barking. Let me drag my dog away, and the awkwardness of that. So maybe for those of you who feel the way I do, start small. Start small with those connections. And if the last thing I want to talk about is if someone who is listening right now to this podcast feels deeply, deeply lonely, but hasn't told anybody, what would you want them to hear from you? And I want you to think about that. If you're feeling lonely, the day that you're watching this, whether it's today, or well, actually, it wouldn't be today because we're going to air this tomorrow. But if you're watching this tomorrow and next week or anytime you have the time to watch this video, what would you, in your deepest emotion, want someone to know and to hear from you, to feel like there's a connection? I really needed to say, I kind of feel lonely. Or maybe not in those words, but maybe you can say, I'm so glad that you stopped by, or I'm so glad you answered the phone. I kind of felt like talking to someone today. I'd like for you, that would be my challenge for you, as I ask a lot of my guests at the end of our sessions, to take a challenge on for the week for themselves. And no one has to check in on me. We're all adults. If you want to take on a challenge for the week, take the challenge for the week. This is all about self-growth, self-love, self-care, so that you can be a better person or a better version of yourself than you may be feeling right now. So I encourage you to take one small step today. And that small test, there's quite a few. I'm just going to give you some examples. Is send a text message to somebody that you haven't spoken to in a while, a friend that you haven't said hi to in a while. Another thing is step outside. If weather permits, go outside for a small walk, even if it's just around your house or around your block, down the street, turn around, come back. Just feel the air. Listen to the breeze through the trees. Feel the sun and the breeze on your face. And another thing is, like I started out in the beginning, which is something I don't do, but I probably should start doing, is maybe writing a journal. Maybe it doesn't have to be like in book form. Maybe just write your feelings. Loneliness, sadness, emotionless. I feel like crying. I feel numb. I feel nothing. But I want to feel happy. I want to feel seen. I want to feel heard. And then on top of that, say, I am important. I am heard. I am seen. I am important, in case I didn't say that already. I am noticed. I am a beautiful person. I have a beautiful soul. I am kind, just in case you're not. I am not a bully. I do not judge. I care about myself. And I believe that connection doesn't have to start in a big way. Connection can start in a small way. And sometimes that connection needs to start with ourselves first and then with others. Take a deep breath today. Remind yourself that it's going to be all right. You're going to be okay. If you ever need a confidant, a friend, a stranger, someone who may understand the way you're feeling, reach out to me. I'm Dre with Yourself.Podcast. You can leave a comment on this video. You can email me personally at braceyourmentalhealth@gmail.com. You can contact me on TikTok as braceyourself.com as well as Instagram. You can leave me a DM. You can become a guest on the show with or without camera. We also have a segment that we're launching as of Friday, March 6th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we're calling it a Freestyle Friday, where we will be live on TikTok just taking questions about what the podcast is about, any life challenges that you may be feeling that you are going through right now, that perhaps we can suggest some coping skills or just listen to you, because a lot of people just need to be heard. And then take a breather and then see if we can give you some advice. I may or may not have a co-host. It will be fun if we do have a co-host, because we can have two perceptions, two separate ideas, two separate points of view. And so if you'd like to be a part of Freestyle Friday, catch us at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on TikTok. We will be live. If you don't want to come up, TikTok has a panel of boxes where you can come up as a guest on camera or off camera and ask your question, or you can stay in the chat and you can ask your question that way. We will not be discussing politics, religion, and or intimate addictions. Those we would suggest that you seek out psychological, psychiatric, or therapy help on. We are just regular people helping regular people out. I hope you attend. I hope that this message today has brought you some light. I hope that it's brought you some hope as well, and some urge to reconnect with some people, especially yourself. And if you have any questions, please reach out. And like I said, if you are in deep need of quick attention, please contact 988 the CareCast by text or telephone. And if you need even more immediate attention, please dial 911, as your life is very important to many, even if you don't feel it. You might feel that life is not worth living. However, it is. It's just the pain that needs to leave. It's the pain that needs to be released from your body. Once the pain is released, you will see how important you are in this life. And with all that said, I'm Dre. This is Brace Yourself.Podcast, and that is a wrap.